Hare Krishna. Welcome to this episode of Bhagavad-gītā. Today we will be studying chapter 11, text 55, the last verse of this 11th chapter. It's a very, very important verse. It's the essence of Bhagavad-gītā. So we'll say our Mangalacharan prayers and pray for the mercy of the entire parampara and begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I'm sorry. So Bhagavad-gītā 11:55. मत्कर्म कृन्मत्परमो मद्भक्तः संगवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यः स मामेति पाण्डव। Matkarma krit, engaged in doing my work. Matparamah, considering me the supreme. Madbhakta, engaged in my devotional service. Sangavarjitah, freed from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation. Nirvairaha, without an enemy. Sarvabhuteshu, among all living entities. Yah, one who. Sah, he. Mam, unto me. Eti, comes. Pandava, O son of Pandu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Purport: Anyone who wants to approach the supreme anyone wants to approach the supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the supreme personality Krishna must take this formula as stated by the supreme himself. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad-gītā. The Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature and who do not know of the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Spiritual Personality, and to teach one how to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in his spiritual activity, devotional service. As far as work is concerned, one should transfer his energy entirely to Krishna conscious activities. As stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 2 255, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharham Upayunjatah Nirbandhah Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyamuchyate. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna Karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work. The result should be done only for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service, as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. This is all Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna, and one should accept as prasadam the remnants of offering to Krishna. If one constructs a very big building for Krishna and installs the deity of Krishna, one is not prohibited from living there, but it is understood that the proprietor of the building is Krishna. That is called Krishna consciousness. If, however, one is not able to construct a temple for Krishna, one can engage himself in cleansing the temple of Krishna. That is also Krishna karma. One can cultivate a garden. Anyone who has land, in India at least, any poor man has a certain amount of land, can utilize that for Krishna by growing flowers to offer him. One can sow tulsi plants because tulsi leaves are very important, and Krishna has recommended this in the Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Krishna desires that one offer him either a leaf or a flower or a fruit or a little water, and by such an offering he is satisfied. This leaf especially refers to the tulsi. So one can sow tulsi and pour water on the plant. Thus, even the poorest man can engage in the service of Krishna. These are some of the examples of how one can engage in working for Krishna. The word mat paramaha refers to one who considers the association of Krishna in his supreme abode to be the highest perfection of life. Such a person does not wish to be elevated to the higher planets, such as the moon or sun or heavenly planets or even the highest planet of this universe, Brahmaloka. He has no attraction for that. He is only attracted to being transferred to the spiritual sky. And even in the spiritual sky, he is not satisfied with merging into the glowing Brahman effulgence, Brahma Jyoti effulgence, for he wants to enter the highest spiritual planet, namely Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. He has full knowledge of that planet, and therefore he is not interested in any other. As indicated by the word Mad Bhaktaha, he fully engages in devotional service, specifically in the 9 processes of devotional engagement: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering prayers, carrying out the orders of the Lord, making friends with Him, and surrendering everything to Him. One can engage in all 9 devotional processes, or 8, or 7, or at least in one, and that will surely make one perfect. The term Sangha Varjitaha is very significant one should disassociate himself or dissociate himself from persons who are against Krishna. Not only are the atheistic persons against Krishna, but so also are those who are attracted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. Therefore, the pure form of devotional service is described in Bhaktirasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 as follows. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnanakarmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttamam. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami clearly states that if anyone wants to execute unalloyed devotional service, he must be freed from all kinds of material contamination. He must be freed from the association of persons who are addicted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. When freed from such unwanted association and from the contamination of material desires, one favorably cultivates knowledge of Krishna. That is called pure devotional service. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam. Haribhakti Vilas 11.676. One should think of Krishna and act for Krishna favorably, not unfavorably. Kamsa was an enemy of Krishna's. From the very beginning of Krishna's birth, Kamsa planned in so many ways to kill him. And because he was always unsuccessful, he was always thinking of Krishna. Thus, while working, while eating, and while sleeping, he was always Krishna conscious in every respect. But that Krishna consciousness was not favorable, and therefore, in spite of his always thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day, he was considered a demon, and Krishna at last killed him. Of course, anyone who is killed by Krishna attains salvation immediately, but that is not the aim of the pure devotee. The pure devotee does not even want salvation. He does not want to be transferred even to the highest planet, Goloka Vrindavan. His only objective is to serve Krishna wherever he may be. A devotee of Krishna is friendly to everyone. Therefore, it is said here that he has no enemy, nirvairaha. How is this? A devotee situated in Krishna consciousness knows that only devotional service to Krishna can relieve a person from all the problems of life. He has personal experience of this, and therefore he wants to introduce the system Krishna consciousness into human society. There are many examples in history of devotees of the Lord who risked their lives for the spreading of God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. He was crucified by the non-devotees, but he sacrificed his life for spreading God consciousness. Of course, it would be superficial to understand that he was killed. Similarly, in India also there are many examples such as Thakur Haridas and Prahlad Maharaj. Why such risk? Because they wanted to spread Krishna consciousness, and it is difficult. A Krishna conscious person knows that if a man is suffering, it is due to his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. Therefore, the highest benefit one can render to human society is relieving one's neighbor from all material problems. In such a way, a pure devotee is engaged in the service of the Lord. Now we can imagine how merciful Krishna is to those engaged in his service, risking everything for him. Therefore, it is certain that such persons must reach the supreme planet after leaving the body. In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation, and the form of time which devours everything, and even the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Vishvarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. There are hundreds of thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Shyamasundara. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Shyamasundara form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, in the matter of the universal form. All right, so this is a very, very important verse, and we will try to go into each of those aspects of this verse one by one. So, mat karma krit. So, mat karma krit is engaged in doing my work. So, to become a devotee of Krishna, we don't have to stop work. In fact, we cannot stop work, right? Why? Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavashah karma sarvah prakriti jair gunaih. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. And it is not only because of the modes, but in the purport, Prabhupada explains, it is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness, otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by illusory energy. So, this is the thing, the spirit soul is active. So, it is not active because we have a material body. And some people, the salvationists, the Mayavadis or Shunyavadis, they try to become activity less without activity. But that is not possible. To make oneself zero or merge into something and then lose one's individuality, that is not possible. We as individuals and as spirit souls, we are active. That is the definition of a spirit soul or Atma. The body is not active. So, now we are working for what? We have created activities in this world because why do we have activities? Mat karma krit, mat paramaha, Krishna says. These two are actually interrelated because what we accept as paramaha in our lives, according to that, our karma krit will be there. So if mat karma krit, then mat paramaha. That's what Krishna is recommending here. But um, if I take mat parama as myself instead of Krishna paramaha and Krishna karma krit, Krishnarthya akhila cheshta. But if I take it as madarthya akhila cheshta, mat paramaha, I have this goal, and based on that goal we have our activities, right? So if I while away my time watching Netflix or some TV, some sports, or some Instagram, and it can be anything. So if I am doing that, what is my goal? My goal is just sense gratification. I just want to be happy now, so I'm just doing it. Or if my goal is to become a very good cricketer, for example, I want to become a very good batsman. So what I'll do, my mat paramaha, instead of Krishna paramaha, we have taken cricket, say maybe Sachin Tendulkar or something as paramaha. So getting into the Indian team, maybe paramaha is my goal of life. So you see, let's go to you see, mat paramaha means considering me the supreme, the goal of life. In fact, in the translation, who makes me the supreme goal of his life. So that is mat paramaha. So if our goal is not Krishna, if my goal is to become a cricketer, then my karma will be according to that. It is just like the GPS. the maps that we have on our phone. So if our goal is set where we need to go, the destination, gantavya, then our activities will be according to that gantavya. Our path will be chalked out. Okay, this route, this left here. So all these, the whole map, the way will be chalked out for us only if we have a destination. Until we put a destination on the map, roads are shown, but there's not a definite pathway. So when we have a goal, then there's a definite pathway. Yes, if I want to become a good cricketer, there is a pathway. If I want to become a good musician, there is a pathway. If I want to become a good martial artist, there's a pathway. If I'm going to become a good businessman, so each of these has pathways, and we may tread that path if we consider that our goal. So therefore, these two are related: mat karmakrit, mat paramaha. So Krishna is now, what he's doing here is not negating anything. We all have the tendency to have a goal, and we have the tendency to act towards that goal. He's saying, make me that goal and work for me. Why? Why? Does he need our help? No, he does not need. He is actually looking only for our welfare. Our welfare will be that if we engage in Krishna's service, then we will be happy. Yatha tarormula nishechanena tripyanti tatskandha bhujopashakha pranopaharachayatendriyanam tathaiva sarvarhanamachyutejya. See? As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Today I was reading the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life. So I read this one line where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the neophyte devotee, the third class devotee, the beginner devotee, who is just ringing the bell in the temple doing archana, doing arati for the Lord, that ringing of that bell is way more useful than opening of thousands and thousands of hospitals and schools. Just that ringing of the bell. And I think, because people actually criticize this, what is the use of ringing bell, and doing some puja and abhishek and all these things. If we can feed the poor, or if we can shelter them, or if we can educate them, that is much more meaningful. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said no. The ringing of the bell is far more meaningful. One may ask, how is that so? How is it even possible? So, it is that when we are serving Krishna, we are actually, what we are doing is, we have come to our original constitutional position. The sufferings of this world, which are addressed, which are the topic of the philanthropists, they want to reduce the suffering of the world, right? Opening of hospitals, opening of schools, or feeding the poor and needy. All of that is basically reducing the suffering of the conditioned souls. But the conditioned soul's suffering can be only reduced even if we temporarily offer some service to the bodily condition. The perennial problem, we are not actually solving it. Whereas when one engages in Krishna's service, he is cured of, he is on the pathway to complete cure, permanent cure. So when one is engaging in serving Krishna, when he's ringing the bell, when we say ringing the bell, it symbolizes that one is on the path of worshipping Krishna. So even if he be a neophyte, He's on the right track. He's on the track where he can completely solve all the problems of life. And everyone, the whole world should take to that Krishna consciousness, worshipping Krishna in the temples and chanting Krishna's name, reading Krishna's books, working for Krishna, distributing this knowledge to others, organizing festivals to, what is organizing festival means? Kirtana. It is actually Kirtana, Sankirtana. Why? Because Kirtana means to make Kirti. Kirti means fame. To make Krishna famous. Krishna is famous. He is known everywhere. But when we say make Krishna famous, in this material world, everyone has forgotten him out of their own misfortune. So to make Krishna known among these unfortunate souls, that is Kirtan. And even in the midst of fortunate souls, even in the Vaikuntha, this Kirtan is going on. What is Kirtan then? If he's already, his Kirti, his fame is spread all over the Vaikunthas, why should there be glorification? Well, because that is the constitutional position of the soul. The life of Vaikuntha is Sankirtan. Even the plants, the birds, the insects are engaged in glorifying the Lord in the spiritual world, in the Vaikunthas, in the Goloka Vrindavan. So that is spiritual life. So in order for us to, one second, adjust the camera a little bit. So in order for us to engage in that, we have to start here. We have to start, and that is happy life. That is complete blissful life. And if the whole world does that, they can go back and enjoy with Krishna. All their problems are solved. So a person who has taken up that path, he's a neophyte. Neophyte, he is doing archa seva, deity worship. Of course, it's not that the pure devotee cannot do deity worship. He's also doing deity worship. But the thing is, it's especially essential for the neophyte. And in the beginning, even if one is just, ringing the bell, he's far advanced than those who think. Why it is advanced? Because they think that they are the providers for the human society and they don't even know how to provide. They're just providing for the material body, and that too in a temporary manner. And maybe that also is sinful because, for example, if I give education but it is godless, if I give food but it is not prasadam, and if I open hospitals and cure the body but I don't actually administer any cure for the soul, that's not real. This is not amandodaya daya. This is mandodaya daya. That means it is compassion which gives rise to ill effects, bad effects. The consequences of such compassion are bad. So if I give, say, food which is not prasadam, that is sin. So I am distributing sin to people if I am not giving them prasadam. So when it is without relation to Krishna, it further complicates our lives and the lives of our beneficiaries. So that is that actually a beneficiary? Or what is the opposite of benefit? Detriment. They are, I think, detrimentary. What is it? Whatever. The opposite of beneficiary. So that's what it will happen. It is called Manda Udaya Daya. Manda means bad. A bad result will be, it gives rise. Udaya means the rising. So Manda Udaya, like Surya Udaya means the rising of the sun. Manda Udaya means the rising of a bad outcome. It gives rise to a bad outcome. Manda Udaya Daya. Daya means compassion, mercy. So it is bad mercy, which is actually not mercy. So we think, so in the name of mercy, in the name of good activity, we are doing something actually bad. And it is of this conception that I will provide education, I will provide food, I will provide shelter, I'll provide cure. We think we are the providers when we do such altruistic activities. Sometimes they assign or attribute such work to be God's work. When Like in India, we have this Mayavad saying, Manav Seva is Madhav Seva. If you do Manav Seva, it is Madhav Seva. But Prabhupada actually in one place he mentioned it very nicely. Manav Seva means, you know what actually Manav Seva is? Manav is a word. Manav means the descendants of Manu. And Manu, Vaivasvata Manu, um, imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha. So Manu is in the disciplic succession coming from Krishna in the Surya Sampradaya. So now that Manu is an Acharya. So Manav Seva means to serve that Acharya by spreading the science that was given to him by Krishna, which he repeated in the Bhagavad-gītā again to Arjuna. So to spread the message of Bhagavad-gītā is the service to Manu. If my service to Prabhupada, what is my service to Prabhupada? If I have to serve Prabhupada, that means I have to spread the message that he has given to us. I have to spread that on to others, right? That is actually service to the parampara. So Manav Seva means to serve the Manu whose message is Bhagavad Gita. And that is real Manav Seva. Then that is Madhav Seva. And when the Manu's message is spread among Manavta, among human society, that is real service. That is real Daya. Amanda Udaya Daya. The Daya, the compassion, the mercy, which gives rise to Amanda Udaya. Manda means bad, Amanda means good. So the good effects will be, it will give rise to good effects. What is good? Only one thing is good. If one's problems are completely solved, and that only Krishna consciousness can do. So therefore, mat karma krit. Mat karma krit. So instead of any other karma krit, mat karma krit. Karma krit. Don't be idle, but mat karma krit. So we can see in 3 verses this thing. So in the comment section there is one there's one verse. Okay, we'll go there and then we will come back. 1084:35. So this is spoken by Krishna himself, right? I think so. No, Sukadeva Goswami continued. Okay. The sage then spoke again, addressing Vasudeva, while all the kings along with Lord Achyuta and Lord Rama listened. Karmana karma nirhara esha sadhu nirupitah yachraddhaya yajed vishnum sarva yajneshwaram makhaihim. Karmana karma nirhara esha sadhu nirupitah. Sadhu nirupitah means correctly ascertained and also ascertained by sadhus, by great sages. Hari Guru Vaishnava, Bhagavad-gītā, they should be our authority in our life. Our authority should be that. Sadhu Shastra Guru. The sages said it has been definitely concluded. Concluded by who? Sadhu Nirupitaha. By great sages. So here the sages said, definitely concluded that work is counteracted by further work when one executes Vedic sacrifices as a means of worshipping Vishnu, the Lord of all sacrifices, with sincere faith. Now this is true. This is true. Our work, our material work, can be counteracted by further work when one executes Vedic sacrifices. So that is exactly what I wanted to show. Oh, Krishna. 1, 5, 33. Okay. These three verses, 33, 34, 35. You see. Amayo yascha bhutanam jayate yena suvrata tadeva hyamayam dravyam napunati chikitsitam. O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? So, what is an example? See, milk preparation sometimes cause disorder of the bowels, but the very same milk converted into yogurt and mixed with some other remedial ingredients cures such disorders. Milk and yogurt are considered to be the basically same thing, but a little transformation. Then it acts to counteract. So, similarly, next verse says, एवं नृणां क्रियायोगाः सर्वे संसृतिहेतवः त एवात्मविनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पिताः परे. Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. Now, this verse can be understood in two ways. Atma here is mentioned as the tree of work. It's quite interesting that Prabhupada translated it like this. Atma vinashaya kalpante, become competent, kalpitaha, dedicated, pare, unto the transcendence. But the other meaning can be Atma vinashaya. So, evam nirnam kriya yoga sarve samsriti hetavaha. When our activities in the human society are material activities, ta eva atma vinashaya. It will destroy the soul. Of course, soul cannot be destroyed. Destroy means it will throw the soul into the darkest regions of ignorance. Kalpante kalpitaha pare. It will become competent to destroy the atma vinashaya. Kalpante kalpitaha pare. So that's where the actual meaning comes, the transcendence. So if not for pare there, it could have been easily meant atma vinashaya means, destroying of the soul. So here that's why it's interesting that why Prabhupada mentioned atma vinash. Atma means the tree of work. So because kriya yoga, atma of the kriya yoga, the tree of work. So in that way it is translated. Otherwise, if pare is not there, pare means transcendental. Kalpitaha pare. And that's why it has come to that. So anyway, so those very activities which cause his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. Now, next verse, very, very clear. Even if the previous verse was a little, how to understand it. Now here, yadatra kriyate karma bhagavat paritoshanam jnanam yattad adhinam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam. Dovetailed. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. So whatever work is there is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga. So that activity, when we work for Krishna, that is entirely purifying. It is nothing like the material work. One may seem to face the same problems as one would in a material enterprise. Like, for example, there may be a shortfall in cash flow for the temple, or there can be, we can employ some technology that other businesses would employ, like even as simple as a phone line or an internet connection or electricity. We may pay just like the ordinary people do. All of that looks same, and we have to run our business. We have to have We have our business of book distribution, of collecting donations, so, and organizing festivals. We have our own events that we need to organize. So we have a whole range of activities. Now that and another mundane organization will be totally different. You can see, actually, many people do not have experience to to many people don't have their own experience working for Krishna's enterprise. They don't really understand the purifying nature of working for Krishna. When you're working for your family's benefit, for your company's benefit, they say job satisfaction. But no one has any idea of what satisfaction a devotee gets when he works for Krishna. Even when he faces so-called trouble, he actually is enjoying. Whereas when the people follow their own paths of activity, and when they face troubles, it's stressful. For the devotee, it is not stressful. A devotee becomes stressed when he cannot engage in Krishna's service. That's when he becomes stressed. He wants to engage in Krishna's service. That engagement in Krishna's service is actually relief from all stress. In that manner, in the course of such service, when there is stress involved, that stress is actually purifying. It's actually ecstatic. Now, you may say, oh, what are you talking about? It is actually a fact. And when you work for Krishna, you will experience that. Those devotees who have dedicated their lives and they take up so much risks or so much endeavor to work for Krishna, they can feel that. And those who not only dedicate their lives, but even if they're working outside, when they take up a service for Krishna, it's a totally different experience. Only if we take it in all full earnestness, if we are really having a devotional disposition that I want to do this nicely for Krishna, when I do it like that, I don't need to be paid. In the job satisfaction, I so-called talk about job, people talk about job satisfaction in the outside world. If there is no salary, there is no satisfaction there. But here, you don't want a salary. You don't want any remuneration for your service. You just want to serve. So that is real job satisfaction. If you want job satisfaction, you have to do mat karma krit. That means Krishna karma krit. Mat parama. Our goal should be Krishna. His satisfaction should be our goal. So in that way only can it become purified. That is the whole essence of Bhagavad-gītā. Arjuna was doing, he was not mat parama in the beginning. I mean Krishna parama. He was not Krishna parama. He was mat parama, as in himself. So Atma parama. And that too, Atma in this case means the body, the mental concoctions. He was serving them. And therefore, he was not doing mat karma krit, Krishna karma krit. And that was the cause of his despondency. Because you see, when in the beginning, in the Bhagavad-gītā, he had two options. When he did not know that he has to fight for Krishna's pleasure, when he was only considering his own satisfaction, okay, both are not satisfying to him. Even if he fights, it will not be satisfying because he has to kill his own kinsmen, and even if he wins the war, he will be like, I have this throne that I have attained is blood, it's stained with blood, because tainted with blood, because I have killed my relatives and family and elders, respectable elders, to just get this throne. So how is that a happy situation? So if he would have won the war, it would have been happy. And on the other hand, he wanted to leave the war. And yet he knew that he was going away from his duty as a fighter, as a kshatriya. As a kshatriya, he should lawfully fight when the opportunity gets to him. But He was now on the battlefield, arranged the entire army, and now going to fight. And he is like, I don't want to fight. But when I think of not fighting, then is that the right thing? He wasn't sure what to do because both paths were leading to misery. That's the thing in the material world. It looks like sometimes that, oh, if I do this, I'll become happy. If I do this, I'll become unhappy. So we set out on a particular course of action. But even that will result in unhappiness eventually. Because even if we are happy for the entire time, at one time it will be stripped off of us. We can't stay with it forever. Everything is dukhalayam ashashvatam, it's temporary. Anityam asukham lokam. That's what this world is. So even our so-called happiness will be interrupted. So ultimately there will be no happiness that is lasting. So the so-called happiness and distress of this material world is actually all distress. Enmaithunadi grihamedhi sukham hi tuchham kanduyanena karayor iva dukkha dukkham tripyanti neha kripana bahudukha bhajaha bahudukha. So of course this verse is about sex life, but even other than sex life is the highest, but anything else is all lusty here. We are just itching. We are just relieving our itch to do lusty activities in this world. Not just sexual lust, but anything that is sense gratificatory is lusty. Because Atmendriya Pritivancha Tarabali Kam. Krishnendriya Priti Ichha Dhare Premanam. So Kama and Prema, lust and love. Lust means to satisfy one's own senses. So whether that be sex life or anything else, that lusty activity will give rise to bahudukha bhajaha, a lot of misery, a lot of trouble. Sukham hi tuchham, hardly. It's very transient, very ephemeral, and very flickering, that happiness of material life. So it's not really worth it. On the contrary, devotional service, seva sukha dukha paramasampada nashaya avidya dukha, both are ecstatic. The so-called sukha, the so-called dukkha and the sukha of Krishna consciousness are both actually susukham kartum avyayam. Both are ecstatic. Taking pains for Krishna's satisfaction is a pleasure in itself. That is love. So mat karma krit, and Prabhupada extends the definition of mat karma here. If you see closely, you see in the purport, Prabhupada explains that what is mat karma. You see, as far as work is concerned, anasaktasya vishayan, Krishna karma, no work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work. The result should be done only for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. See, that's how he's saying now. Now, we have, as devotees, our own business, book distribution, our own business of collecting funds and everything. This is our business. Now, Prabhupada extends that definition. Even if you see like here he says, if Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is work for Krishna. So instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service. So this is all Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna, and one should accept as prasadam the remnants of offerings to Krishna. You see, if one constructs a very big building for Krishna and installs the deity of Krishna there, one is not prohibited from living there, but it is understood that the proprietor of the building is Krishna. That is called Krishna consciousness. And this is actually prasadam. So the prasada means not just the food, but also the shelter. Like devotees, especially those who have dedicated their life to Krishna, they live in the temple. They should live as prasad. They should not consider themselves, oh, this is my room, this is my this thing. No, this is not. That's material consciousness. I am Krishna's servant, just like, in Singapore at least, there is the maid system, So you can have a housemaid, and the housemaid are usually foreign workers, foreign ladies from foreign countries, like either India or sometimes Indonesia, Philippines, like that. So these maids, they come and live in the house of the owner. So they are maids actually, but they live sometimes maybe even in opulent homes, in bungalows, but they serve the owner of the house. Similarly, we are like that. What to speak we? The queens of Dwarka, the queens of Krishna in Dwarka, they consider themselves as maid servants, right? In the 83rd chapter of Krishna and in the Bhagavatam 10th canto, all the queens they narrated the story of how they were, how Krishna won them, how they became Krishna's wife, but they never said wife; they said maid servant. If you see Draupadi, so Draupadi is asking this: O Vaidarbhi, Bhadra, Jambavati, Kaushala, Satyabhama, Kalindi, Shaibya, Rohini, Lakshmana, and other wives of Lord Krishna, please tell me how the Supreme Lord Achyuta, imitating the ways of this world by his mystic power, came to marry each of you. Women like to discuss these kind of topics. They want to discuss how you got together, how you all got together. Please tell me that love story. They're interested in these kind of stories. But although the Draupadi and the queens of Krishna were discussing these things, but you see, because it is centered on Krishna, it is very different. So, for example, Rukmini first said, Sri Rukminyuvacha Chaidyayamar Chaidyayamar Karmukeshu Rajasvajeya Bhatashe Kharitangri Ninye Mrigendra Iva Bhagamajaviyuthat Tachri Niketa Charano Stumamarchanaya. You see? When all the kings held their bows at the ready to assure that I would be presented to Shishupala, he who puts the dust of his feet on the heads of invincible warriors took me from their midst. He who puts the dust of his feet on the heads of invincible warriors took me from their midst as a lion forcibly takes his prey from the midst of goats and sheep. May I always be allowed to worship those feet of Lord Krishna, the abode of the goddess Shri. Okay, here she said like this. Let's see Satyabhama. Okay, here also maid servant. Here Jambavati is saying Amusha Dasi. Aham Amusha Dasi. What is this? Shri Jambavati Vacha Prajnaya Deha Kridamum Prajnaya Deha Kridamum Kridam Nijanatha Devam Sitapatim Trinavahanyamunabhyayudhyat Jnatva Parikshita Upaharadharhanam Pado Pragrihya Manina Hamamushya Dasi. Prajnaya Deha Kridamum Nijanatha Devam. Unaware, Shambhavati said, unaware that Lord Krishna was none other than his own master and worshipable deity, the husband of the goddess Sita, my father fought with him for 27 days. When my father finally came to his senses and recognized the Lord, he took hold of his feet and presented him with both me and the Samantaka jewels as tokens of his reverence. I am simply the Lord's maid servant. Okay. So in this way, you see, Tadgrihamarjani. Tadgrihamarjani means I am the cleaner. Aham Tadgrihamarjani. I am the sweeper of the, you see. Kalindi said, the Lord knew I was performing severe austerities and penances with the hope of one day touching his lotus feet. So he came to me in the company of his friend and he took my hand in marriage. Now I am engaged as a sweeper in his palace. See how they are. So, Tadgrihamarjani. Very beautiful, very endearing. It shows us how they consider themselves, although they are the wives of Krishna. Tasyastu me anubhavam angri avanejanatvam. What is that? Avanejanatvam, the status of washing. May I be allowed to serve him by washing his feet life after life. So they're not proud like, oh, I can embrace my Lord and everything. No, I'm his servant. I'm the cleaner of his house. I'm his maid servant. I want to wash his feet life after life. Ninye tad dasyamastu me. Then he took me away with my maid servants and my full army. May I be granted the privilege of serving that Lord. See again. Bhadra, what is she saying? अस्य मे पाद संस्पर्शो भवे जन्मनि जन्मनि कर्मभिर्भ्राम्यमाणाय येन तच्छ्रेय आत्मनः. My ultimate perfection is this: to always be allowed to touch Lord Krishna's lotus feet as I wander from life to life, bound by my karma. They're not in this pride. They're, I have completely crossed karma. What karma? Krishna is, my husband right now. He will do as I say. Actually, Krishna was like a very henpecked husband. In this material world, such a henpecked husband would be condemned. Condemned. Nobody respects such a man. But what is abominable here is highest there. And therefore, Radharani also sometimes, Krishna also sometimes falls at the feet of Radharani. And Krishna also is serving them like as if he's their servant. And Krishna does this to every devotee. He's like, he became a driver of Arjuna. So he's always like a servant to his devotees and even to his conjugal devotees, like his queens, his gopis. But it looks like he's a henpecked husband or a boyfriend like that. But it's actually, that relationship is true with every devotee for him. But although he's like that, but you see how they are saying, how she's saying here, as I wander from life to life, I want to always be allowed to touch Lord Krishna's lotus feet. How humble and beautiful such prayer is. There's no pride at all. They're the queens of Krishna, chosen of the chosen of the chosen of the elite, and still they're so humble. Lakshmana, of course, her story is longer. Then her story goes on a few verses. But you see the general mood. So that is the. So when this is prasadam. This is prasadam. So when we stay in the temple of Krishna, we are not staying here as proprietors here, as the rightful residents of this temple. No, not at all. We are like what we have is the workers' quarters, the maid servants' quarters in the house. We may be in the bungalow, we may be in the palace of Krishna, in the house of Krishna. That's a privilege. That's a privilege. So we are secondary enjoyers. Like the maid, she will be living in a big palace. Yes, but she's a secondary enjoyer only because she is serving the master of the house. So similarly, our when we say Salokya, going to the same planet as the Lord, or Samipya, being a very intimate associate of the Lord, all that is by prasada, is the Lord's mercy. Those positions can only be achieved because only if we have the mentality like the queens of Dwarka, that I am only a servant. I'm not the enjoyer of Vaikuntha planets. Oh, this Vaikuntha is so beautiful. No, that's the wrong concept, the wrong attitude totally. The devotees in Vaikuntha and Golok Vrindavan, they don't appreciate nature, they don't appreciate all the beauty devoid of Krishna. They are not primary enjoyers in the spiritual world. Like even in this world, sometimes, even when we are trying to be Krishna conscious, we first enjoy and then we give credit to Krishna. For example, if we see a nice scenery, then it is very pleasing to us, right? It is very pleasing to us. And then we think of, oh, Krishna has made all this, Krishna is great. But in that, there is still some inherent sense gratification because it is pleasing to us. But as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur taught us, Drigdrishya Vichar, and also Prabhupada taught the same thing. Why for the devotee, how can he be in this mentality? नारायण पराः सर्वे न कुतश्चन बिभ्यति स्वर्गापवर्ग नरकेष्वपि तुल्यार्थदर्शिनः. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such, devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Now, we can easily appreciate a nice scenery and glorify the Lord. Will we glorify the Lord if we are in the midst of a hellish, dirty, stinking place, in the midst of a city which is polluted and everything? Can we do the same thing? Can we glorify the Lord in the exact same way? We should. For the devotee, it's all the same. When it said all the same, literally it is all the same for him. It is actually same for him. It is not that, yeah, after all, Krishna is, no, not like that. Not as a consolation, not as a like. It's actually same. How will it be same? In his mind, it is the same. It's the same. For us, in the mind, it's not the same. When we see a beautiful place and when we see a stinking, hellish, polluted place, it's not the same in our mind. When we see the nice scenery, we say, "Oh, Krishna is so great." When we see a horrible thing, even if it is a natural thing, if it's a horrible thing, say if we are in the midst of a volcano, like a volcano erupted or some natural calamity, an earthquake and everything, buildings are leveled and everything. Now that's also power of Krishna. But do we glorify Krishna? We should. And even if we're in the midst of a man-made city which is like, very bad and, very polluted and stinking, or drains are not there, especially in India, you'll find this. What will you do? Will we glorify Krishna? We should. Because that can only happen when we consider ourselves secondary and not primary enjoyers of anything. So if Krishna has put me here, if Krishna takes pleasure in putting me here and he wants me to glorify him here, I'm very happy because Krishna put me here. It's Krishna's will. Out of Krishna's will, I am here. So if in my mind, like we all are, wherever we are because of Krishna's will. But if I hate my life, if I hate my circumstances, that means I'm trying to resist what Krishna is trying to teach me here. I'm trying to resist. So if Krishna has put me in a situation, that means it is by his will I'm here, I'm there. And then how to come out, how to serve him there, I have to learn why Krishna put me here and what is the lesson I have to learn for me to become Krishna conscious here. How can I become Krishna conscious here? Not that why am I here? Why am I here is, of course, we may make decisions in our life which we may regret, but even if such decisions are made, and even if it produces a opposite result of what we hoped for, because we have taken a decision, we just have to stick with it and then do it in relation to Krishna. For example, if one has gotten a, he has come here to Singapore, like we have a work permit or some employment permit in Singapore, and he has already taken a decision and then applied for it and came here. Now there is a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract. Or sometimes it's a marriage that one has gotten into, and then maybe it did not go as he hoped. Or it can be a business enterprise. He may get into something, but it's not going as the way he wanted it to. In those cases, whatever we have, whatever is our present circumstance, we should engage in Krishna's service. If it is going good, even then it has to be engaged in Krishna's service. All the time, like here, Prabhupada extended Mat Karma Krit as even if one has devotion, an ordinary business in this material world, how can that become Mat Karma Krit? By offering the profits to Krishna. So just like the temple, the person in the temple is a secondary enjoyer, only enjoying the prasadam, or rather honoring the prasadam of the Lord, whether it be the food. Prasadam is not just food. Like Uddhava says in this, Tvayopabhukta sraggandha vaso lankara charchitaha uchishta bhojino dasas tava mayam jayemahi. Simply by decorating ourselves with the garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will indeed conquer your illusory energy. And whatever he mentioned here, garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments, and meals, these are just a few examples. Prabhupada in today's purport mentioned that if you construct a temple, there's no harm in living in the temple that is prasadam. If you notice that. See? You see, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna and one should accept as prasadam the remnants of offerings to Krishna. So what is the remnant of offering of a building to Krishna? A small room maybe in that, a small place in that, a small locker room and a small place on the floor in that temple can be a prasadam of the Lord. The remnants of offering to Krishna. If one constructs a very big building for Krishna and installs a deity of Krishna, one is not prohibited from living there, but it is understood that the proprietor of the building is Krishna. So in this way, one is not, one can, like you see, I'll show you something. 11, 17, oh, sorry. 18. You see, this is Vaishyas, okay? Vaishyas are businessmen. Now, in this topic, the purport, the businessman, right, was mentioned. So you see, Astikyam dana nishthacha adambho brahma sevanam atushtir arthopachayair vaishya prakritayastvimaha. You see, artho, let's see, atushtihi. Tushtihi means satisfied. Atushtihi means remaining dissatisfied. Artha of money. upachayaihi, by the accumulation. The Vaishyas are always not satisfied. They always remain dissatisfied with how much of money they make. That is a quality of Vaishya, if he is like that. He should be like that. But there's nothing wrong in greed, provided there's a caveat, a big caveat. What is that? If we do it for Brahma Sevanam, the service to the Brahmanas, Astikyam. So, faith in Vedic civilization, dedication to charity. Dedication to charity. What is the word? Dana Nishtha. If they are Dana Nishtha, then Atushtir Arthopachayar is not at all bad. Like, for example, in temple, we should be Atushtir Arthopachayar. We should be not satisfied with any amount of money that comes to the temple. We should get more and more money for the temple and use it also more and more. Dana Nishtha also. We have to be Atushtir Arthopachayar and Dana Nishtha. Nishtha means fixed up and in the fixed in the principle of Dana. So the temple, the devotees in the temple, Brahmanas, what is Brahmanas? Pathan, Yajan, Dana, Pratigraha. Pratigraha means accept donations, but Dana, give everything back to the, of course, Krishna, through Krishna, back to the people. They collect money, engage in Krishna's service, purify it, and give the result of such service as remnants of prasadam to public. And prasadam means everything that is first offered to the deity and given out. Prasadam is one thing. The festivals, like you see, for example, Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is a festival for the glorification of the Lord. But don't people who come and attend the festival have a nice time? Singing, eating nice food, or doing some shopping, buying some books, and they become maybe members of the temple, or they hear some nice words when devotees preach to them. They experience everything. Nice. It's a nice experience. But it is the primary enjoyer of the festival is the Lord. And they are enjoying pulling the Lord's chariot and dancing because the Lord is glorified. And they're secondary enjoyers of the festival. So that festival experience is a prasadam of service to Krishna, service to Jagannath. Janmashtami, Krishna's birthday, where everybody is coming for a birthday party of Krishna, the unborn Krishna. And while he is celebrating, devotees celebrate his birthday, everybody also has a nice time. Singing, they hear nice Krishna songs, they have nice prasadam, and again, all the thing. We may even have an exhibition or something like that, and people watch those things. It's a form of entertainment for them, but actually it's education in the garb of entertainment. It's purification in the garb of entertainment, or some kind of, as if it's a sense gratificatory thing, but it's not a sense gratification. It's enjoying secondary to the Lord. So all this is prasadam. So that is actually, we should do that. Dana nishtha. We should always think of how to benefit others by giving Krishna. They give dana to Krishna. We should give Krishna dana to them. Krishna should be donated to them. And Krishna we can donate to each person fully. Because Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. When you give Krishna to one person, you can give Krishna to another person also. Krishna Shetomar Krishna Dite Paro. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if I go to Vaishnava, he's so powerful that he can give Krishna to others. So when we give books to them, when we give prasadam, then when they come and celebrate the festival of the Lord, we are giving Krishna to them. Dana nishtha. So this Vaishya's thing can be done by Brahmanas also, Dana nishtha, but they do different dan. They give Krishna's knowledge, they give Krishna prasadam, Krishna kirtan, everything for the benefit of the people, and give them a chance to serve the Lord. So many people come and volunteer to serve in those festival times, and all of them are benefited. So Atushtir arthopachayayar. A businessman can be greedy after wealth. He should be very greedy, provided he is dana nishtha and astikya, not dana nishtha in somewhere else dana. To Krishna. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yad tapasya kaunte tat kurushva madarpanam. Krishna arpanam. Sarvam Krishnarpanam astu. So that is real matkarma krit. Atushtir. We should not be satisfied. Why should we be satisfied if, say, 100 books were sold today? No, 1,000 next. 1,000 if we sell, why should we be satisfied? No, 10,000. No, why 10,000? Why satisfy? Million. We should always go more and more and more. And actually, there is one, I don't know where, is that a verse or somebody said? It is said that we should be always content. We should be content with what we have materially. We should not be greedy. But we should always be greedy for Krishna. Our names, Krishna name, if we are chanting Krishna's name, we should be greedy. We should chant more and more and more. Seva, we should do more and more and more. We should be greedy for seva. We should not be satisfied with our status of seva. If I'm doing some seva and if I'm doing regularly and steadily, I should not be satisfied. Why am I stagnating? I should now expand. I should expand my seva. I should take on more responsibility. I should delegate some of the thing and I should manage and I should accept more responsibility. In this way, one should expand one's seva to Krishna. So, in the matter of Krishna, it should always be atushtir, artha upachayayar. Here, of course, artha means wealth, but prema pumartho mahan. Krishna's love is our real artha. Everything else is anartha. Anartha means anartha nivritti. We have to get rid of all the anarthas and only artha. What is artha? Prema pumartho mahan. Not even the chatur purusharthas. They are also anartha for the devotee. The chatur purusharthas, the four purusharthas, which is the goals of human life, which is dharma, artha, kama, moksha, religiosity, economic development, regulated sense gratification, and liberation, they are called purusharthas, the goals of human life. But they become anartha for the devotee. For him, only one artha, prema pumartho mahan. And in that context, atushtir arthopachayayar. Atushtir artha upachayayar. Padyaval 11. Okay, let's try to go there. So in the artha, in the gathering of artha, in the prema pumartha, we should be atushtir. Should never be satisfied. We should be greedy. Tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam. Janma koti sukritayarna labhyate. What is? Wait. Really? Oh. Wait a second. Just hold on. This thing is a bit different. No. Wait. This thing is a bit. Acharyas, Rupa Goswami, Padyavali 11. Let's see how it comes. What is this? No, not this. Not this. How to go to Padyavali though? Interesting. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to the other one. Matkarma krin matparamo madbhaktaha. So madbhaktaha. No, the vichayani vichintyani vicharyani vichintyani, that one is there. No, there is another one. There's another one which says that we should never be satisfied with our seva, japa, and something like this. But we should always be content with our material possessions, our status in the material world, and our relationships, whatever. But we should never be content with japa and seva and something like that. It was like that. There's one saying like that. So anyway, so that's the thing. Atushthir artha upachayayar. We can transform that meaning to artha, real artha. That's how matkarma krit. So even if one is doing something else, not exactly in the temple setting, is doing some other, it can become same as the temple consciousness if we are Krishna conscious. If we consider that the business, first of all, we should engage in business which is not particularly sinful, not directly sinful, and sato vritteh, we should have occupation which is not sinful, and then use those profits for Krishna. I should not consider myself. This is the problem. If I consider a proprietor, I consider myself a proprietor of a business. If I do that, then okay, I will give some to the temple. That is not me considering Krishna to be the owner. If Krishna is the owner, and Krishna is the owner of everything, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, I should only accept the remnants of such thing and I should live simply. This belongs to Krishna. That should be our consciousness. It belongs to Krishna. It does not belong to me. I'm only a secondary occupant or a servant here, only supposed to take the prasad of the Lord in everything in our life. That should be our mode of thinking. Not that, oh, I'm the owner and yeah, a little bit I will throw to the temple, a little bit donation in the box, and I'll just put something. Or a minuscule percentage of my earnings I will just give it to Krishna. No. We should give our life to Krishna. The majority of it. Only as a remnant we have to use it something for our maintenance. Even if one is not an actual resident of the temple. Resident of the temple, he does not earn anything for himself. They don't have salary, they don't nothing. Everything is sarvalabdha arpanena cha. But that sarvalabdha arpanena cha has to be done even by the grihasthas. They should only enjoy something as a prasad of the Lord. So, that consciousness, unless we have that consciousness, we're not going to become very strong devotees. We cannot become. So we have to come up with, not come up with, we should adopt that thinking that am I trying to enjoy Krishna or is Krishna the enjoyer and I am supposed to be enjoyed by him. If I go to Krishna, will Krishna want to see me? Is my life good enough that Krishna actually deserves, or do I deserve a glance of Krishna over me? We want Krishna to pay attention to our prayers. No, but do we deserve his attention? For example, I'll give you an example. Like Sundar Gopal Prabhu, suppose, asks me, and it many times happened because I'm very inept at my services. And when Sundar Gopal Prabhu gives me a service, and then I really love doing it. I really love doing it. And it's my duty to do it, right? But somehow or other, whatever factors come in, and I'm unable to finish, and I'm unable to do that. I'm unable to finish that. And I feel mortified when that happens. And it happens very often, way more often than I would like to. I'm praying to Krishna, I'm praying to Prabhupada to give me the strength so that I can do my services nicely. But when that happens, I try and it does not get finished in time. I don't feel myself to be deserving of his glance. I don't feel like I want to talk anything to Prabhu, talk anything. I may have some philosophical things that I want to discuss with him or anything like that. I don't feel like it's like, do I deserve that? Do I deserve such conversation with Prabhu? Do I deserve to sit and actually talk to him? I don't. I have to finish that seva. How can I show my face to him if my seva is not done? That is the mood we should have. Does he want to see me or not? Is he pleased? Is he tolerating me? Or is he actually happy with me, with my service? He may not say anything. He may not say anything if I don't finish my work in time. He may ask, is it finished? And if I say no, okay, try to finish it. He may say like that. He may be, mild. But that does not mean he's satisfied. Similarly, why am I saying that example? Because in relationships, I'm giving that example because if I give this example, we can understand this because we can see the reciprocation from another person. Now, with Krishna, he's reciprocating, but we are not advanced to fully experience his reciprocation, right? So we can understand it by drawing parallels, and in fact, that is the way to go to Krishna, by serving the devotees, and how the devotees react, and how we should deal with the devotees. Sometimes we think we have a right in a relationship. In relationship, especially in spiritual relationship, there's no rights. We don't have a right to something. No. We need to earn that by pleasing the other person. Ultimately Krishna, but then our spiritual master, Diksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasad. But how do I know Prabhupada is being pleased? I have to please my immediate Shiksha Gurus who are teaching me how to go to Prabhupada. If they are displeased, because they are representing the Diksha Guru, so the Diksha Guru also will be displeased. And Krishna also will be displeased. Now, even when such displeasure happens, when my Shiksha Guru becomes displeased with me, he may not explicitly express sometimes being kind, but actually, chastisement is more kindness actually, but he may withdraw his anger and be tolerant of me and, okay, give me another chance. So when he's tolerating me, That's a horrible way to live. It's very, very guilt inducing. He should not tolerate me. He should find me to be a good servant, a reliable servant. That's what we should yearn to be. That can I be relied upon for service? Am I doing my job well in the service? Am I exceeding the expectations, in fact? That's what we should aim for. You look at Prabhupada's life. His Guru Maharaj told him, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, you know English, so please preach to the English speaking world. It will do good to you and to those who hear you. If you ever get money, print books. These are orders which are not grandiose. They're not grandiose orders. Make the whole world Krishna conscious. He did not say those things. Of course, he wanted that. But he gave him sentences which are orders which are, if you ever get money, print books. If you ever get money. It can be taken to the lowest degree. If you ever get money, print books. Prabhupada took that order, preached to the Western world, okay. If you ever get money, print books, okay. Took it to the maximum extent. And not just the Western world, West, East, everywhere he conquered. The whole world. If you ever get money, okay, make as much money, make so much money that the whole world's books will go all over the world. If you ever get money, print books. Okay, I'll print 20 books. I'll get some money, print 20 books. No. Think of that order. Make it into the most grandiose version that you can think of. Chase that. And by the mercy of the spiritual master, one will be able to achieve that. So a real good servant, you see how there will be no guilt in Prabhupada if he has to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he's seeing him every day because he's always connected with his order. And he's having his darshan every day, all the time. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will be very pleased. He deserved all attention of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur by his service. He took all risks. He could have stayed comfortable and did what he could and said, I have served my Guru Maharaj according to my capacity. He could have said that. But at the age of 69, he left. He got heart attack. He boarded the ship and went in a freighter that not a proper passenger ship, nothing. And then went there, no friends, nothing. So much difficulty in executing the order. And then the results came. And even then he was being patient. Not that, oh, I have taken so much trouble, I think Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will be happy with me. No. Went on and on and on until the last part of his life, guiding the disciples. That's what a disciple is. And we should always evaluate ourselves. Where am I? Where am I in this spectrum of being a disciple? To what extent am I a disciple? Am I a disciple who is being tolerated by the Guru? My presence is being tolerated here? Is that how I'm existing? Or am I actually bringing pleasure to my Guru? Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada. Is my Guru happy with me? Or is he tolerating me? Or is angry with me? Even if he's not angry per se, is he tolerating me? That's not a good thing. I don't deserve any. So that's what it means. Whether I'm a resident of the temple or whether I'm outside, doesn't matter. That's how we should think. Am I being tolerated here or am I being actually being of service here? And the more one does service, the symptom is that he will always think he's inadequate in his service because we can never be adequate. Like just today I was reading in the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's book, he's saying the Brahma with his 4 heads is constantly glorifying the Lord, and Anantasesh with his thousands of heads is always glorifying the Lord. How much can I with one mouth glorify the Lord? can never adequately glorify the Lord. It can never happen. For eternity, the Anantasesha has been glorifying and still has not reached the end. And how is it possible for me to finish my talk? How can I ever stop? But the only thing we can do is whatever energy we have, if we have one mouth, and with that one mouth we have to constantly kirtaniya sadahari and serve. And not only mouth, whatever our other parts of the body, we should engage all our parts, our mind, our intelligence, our consciousness, our very desires to serve the Lord, to serve Krishna. Krishnarthya akhila cheshta. We should be absorbed. Prabhupada said we should tax our brains to serve Krishna. Not just absorb, okay, engage in some service. No. Tax our brains how to engage even more, make it more efficient, make it more intense. Should never be satisfied with the amount of service. Oh wow. Rajeshwari Mataji found it. Oh wow. Chanakya Niti, chapter 6, text 7. I have Chanakya Niti here. Let me bring it. Chanakya Niti. Let's see. Chapter 6, text 7. This is beautiful. Chapter 6, text 7. No. Somehow the number is not the same. Maybe the number is slightly different. Here 6, 7 is something else. Here it says, time perfects all living beings as well as kills them. Time alone is vigilant while others sleep. Truly, time is insurmountable. Kalaha pachati bhutani, kalaha samharate prajaha, kalaha supteshu jagarti, kalo hi duratikramaha. Very nice, but where is that one? I don't know. Maybe you can see if there are other versions. Sometimes the numberings can go wrong, So sometimes we may miss it. So if anybody finds it somewhere, then I will read Sanskrit from here because I have all the Sanskrits here. Or I have to. But you see, it's nice that one should feel satisfied. 7-4. 7-4. Let's see, 7-4. Yes, 7-4 is the one. Let me read it. Santoshas trishu kartavyah swadare bhojane dhane trishu chaivana kartavyo dhyayane japadanayoh. A man should feel satisfied with the following three: his wife, food given by providence, and wealth acquired by honest effort. He should never be satisfied with these three: study, chanting, and offering of charity. So this study, of course, means our reading of Krishna philosophy and japa Krishna's names and offering of charity. We should never be satisfied. Dana nishtha, atushtir artha upachayayar. This is beautiful. You found the verse. Very nice. So, you should memorize this verse. So, we should never be satisfied with our seva, our study, chanting, and offering of charity. So, we should never be satisfied. Dana, dana we should give to Krishna. So, our life we should give to Krishna. Even with the most prized position we have is our life, and that should be offered in dana to Krishna. Because yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi. Dadasi means to give. If you want to give something, give to Krishna, he says, Madarpanam. So give our life to Krishna. So that means seva, everything. So all of this, we should never be satisfied. Our material things, we can be content with our material position, our wife, or whatever. All that is not very, we don't need to be greedy in that. But we should be greedy in these things. Very good. So, we should deserve that greed will, it's a very, very satisfying position to exceed the expectations of one's guru. If we sincerely want to serve him, then we will exceed his expectations. I just pray for such sincerity in my service. You know what happened? There was only one time I dreamt of Prabhupada. I never disclose this to anyone, but this is the first time I was saying that. This happened on the 23rd of July, 2020. I just finished a marathon of lectures, daily lectures, the strengthening foundations, a lot of series, 93 days continuously, every day lecture during that. So it's 3 months and 3 days, 93 days of continuous lectures happened, and just finished that. And services, things started to open up slightly, COVID lockdown, things started to open up slightly. So other services started, so I had to not do every day. So one of those days I was having an afternoon nap, and in that I got a dream of Prabhupada. It was a short incident. Prabhupada was going out of a temple. I don't know what temple was, somewhere. And all devotees were offering him some, bouquets of flowers or something, or garlands or something, and he was going out and they were offering flowers at his feet and everything. You know what I was doing? I was taking my phone and then I was doing a video of him. And I was like crouched down like that, and I was like taking a video of him walking out. Then he stopped and looked down at me, and he said, "Do something." He said, "Do something," and I was my brain just like froze. I was like, "Whoa, yeah, actually, look at everybody. Everybody's offering something to Prabhupada. What am I doing?" Then I wanted to offer something. There was nothing in my hand. It's just a phone. I was just taking a video of Prabhupada. And then he went into some lift, some elevator. And I just wanted to go, and I just went into the lift and I just extended my hand like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I wanted to give. I just wanted to give something, but there was nothing in my hand. My hand was empty. And my Prabhupada looked at my hand, and I just kneeled down, and I knelt down in front of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada just, he lifted his leg a little bit, he rubbed his shoe, and he rubbed my head with his hand. And the feeling that I felt, it's a very big lesson actually. Do something, and we have to take that instruction to the maximum, and we have to do everything. We have to do everything for Prabhupada. I just want to do everything for Prabhupada. We should do everything for Prabhupada. I'm not satisfied. I don't know. I'm actually ranting away right now. It's not the class, but yeah, mat karma krin. We should do something. Those are the only two words he said in that dream. Do something. So we should do something for Prabhupada. We should do everything. And that's when we deserve him. Otherwise, he has given us everything. If we don't put our life on the line for him, what is the value of this life? What is that? 72 TGS letter 721219. This new Vedavis is a bit problematic. Let's see slowly a little more. Letters 72. Oh, secretary is not this one. Correspondence, yeah. Okay, so let's read this. I have my comments on this because I've read something from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and okay, see, my dear Tejias, please accept my blessings. I'm in due receipt of your letter dated December 10th, 1972, and I'm very much disturbed to hear from you that you have become disturbed in your mind. Do not be disturbed. There is no cause for anxiety. You are doing your best to serve Krishna. That is very much appreciated. So do not lose enthusiasm out of frustration. That will spoil everything. Krishna consciousness means we should always be satisfied and happy, not that we must work something impossible, becoming overburdened. And then, because we're unhappy by so much trouble, we lose enthusiasm altogether and give up all hope. No, if too much endeavor is there, then that is to be avoided. By all means, we must preserve our spiritual status. That is the point. Not that we are mad after big buildings, many devotees, life numbers, this, that. No. These are only ways to engage the devotees so that they may apply the principles of devotional living to some kind of work for practical realization of these principles. It is not that the result of the work we want. It is not the result of the work we want. If only one person daily, if we sincerely preach to such one person in a day, that is sufficient. Never mind big programs. So my request to you is that you do not be bothered by these things, and I have instructed Tamal Krishna and Sham Sundar to send you men, so they will do it. Rest assured, Krishna does not like to see his sincere devotees suffer or become frustrated or depressed. He will not stand idly by in any such case, so do not fear on that account. Krishna has got some plan for you. Always think in that way, and very soon he will provide everything to your heart's desire. Yes, I have seen Vaikuntanath in Ahmedabad, and he appeared very sickly. Okay, this is another one. Okay, so yeah, I just hope. But also, there is a comment that I want to make on this. Again, Prabhupada is here consoling him that he's a bit frustrated, and Prabhupada is consoling that, don't be depressed, and all our activities are to just make that principle, to apply that principle of engaging all our energies in Krishna's service. And one should not be anxious after all these results and everything. But this is more of a consolation. It is true. What Prabhupada is saying is absolutely true here. The focus should be to engage ourselves in Krishna's service. But still, it is more of a consolation to encourage such a devotee. But if you see Prabhupada's own life, he always planned big things. He was very, very enterprising, even when he had nothing. That's what I was reading in the book Our Family Business. There's a book called Our Family Business, which is about book distribution by one of the ISKCON great book distributors, Vaisheshika Prabhu, who is an ISKCON guru, which we don't agree with that part. But he has encouraged thousands of devotees to distribute books, and he distributes books even now. So, one of the things that I learned about Prabhupada, especially his days when he wasn't known at all, he was a nobody. Nobody knew him at that time. Not he was a nobody, he was always recognized by Krishna. But in this world, nobody knew him. At that time, his mindset of service was never small. Although he was working, now the point how to come out of this frustration or depression or a feeling of a sense of depression is to do what one can at any given time, given his resources at that at that time. But in the mind, one should always expand such service. A classic example of this is Kolavecha Sridhar. Kolavecha Sridhar, in the Chaitanya Leela, that story is described, he could not afford anything. So he, in his mind, he was thinking not small service. He was doing manasika seva. He was serving the Lord in his mind in a very, very opulent way. Although he had no wherewithal at that time. He had nothing. He's a poor man. But he was thinking that, he's bringing waters in golden pots from all the major rivers, and he was decorating the Lord very opulently. He's cooking. And he did that for years and years and years. And finally, the Lord took him back. So, Prabhupada also, we can see that even though he had nothing at that time, nothing, no money, he was fasting himself. He was not eating fully. He was eating once a day, twice a day max, to save money to print books. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, if you ever get money, print books, he was saving money and collecting whatever he could, little bit donations, and he was printing books with that little money also. But he did not settle for that. He was not depressed that he wasn't able to do much for his Guru Maharaj. He did what he could at that time, but he always dreamed of this. He dreamt of this huge, massive enterprise of preaching. That's why when he went to America, when he was nobody, like when I say he's nobody, he's always somebody. He's always the greatest Acharya of Kali Yuga. But when nobody knew him, in the eyes of this world, he was a nobody. He was just sitting alone in a garden on a bench, and there was a point where he was talking to someone and he was saying, "No, the devotees are there, the temples are there, the lordships are there being worshipped. Everything is there. Only time is separating us, me from them." Prabhupada could see the future. It's not just dreaming, but it's so visceral for him. It's so visceral for him, that service, that how he wanted to serve his spiritual master. While he could not do much in the present circumstance, his dream was so big, and he just did not daydream about it. He dreamt it, and he worked for it patiently. Patiently. This is about utsahan, nischa, and dhairya. And that because this person, Tejas, he was not having the patience, and the frustration comes when we dream big, but we don't have the patience and the grit that it takes to actually pursue and be patient and be very, very determined in it and very enthusiastic about it. If we don't have such thing, so this is a consolation where there is the dhairya was not there, the patience was draining away and like that. But it is another thing that we should always be introspective. The other thing I wanted to make, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's point on this was, every person, there is this verse 7:13:8, न शिष्यान् अनुबध्नीत ग्रंथान् नैवाभ्यसेद बहून् नव्याख्याम् उपयुञ्जीत नारंभान् आरभेत क्वचित्. A sannyasi must not present allurements of material benefits to gather many disciples, nor should he unnecessarily read many books or give discourses as a means of livelihood. He must never attempt to increase material opulences unnecessarily. Now, although it is said material opulences and present material allurements of material benefits, but actually, the verse itself does not. Anubadhnita, okay, should induce for material benefit. Granthan naivabhyaset bahun. Don't read too many scriptures. And arambhan, narambhan arabhet kvachit. Should not unnecessarily attempt to increase opulences. But if you see the purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, you see, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the word arambhan as meaning mathadi vyaparan, which means attempts to construct temples and monasteries. So don't be enthusiastic about constructing temples and monasteries. Kvachit, at any time. The first business of sannyasi is to preach Krishna consciousness. But if by the grace of Krishna facilities are available, then he may construct temples and monasteries to give shelter to the serious students of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, such temples and monasteries are not needed. Now, this is what Prabhupada said. But then what he did, he had 108 temples by the time he left. And he was actually, you see how much trouble he took. If you know the Juhu story in Bombay, how much trouble he took. It's a lot of effort, but he took it. He fought. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, because somebody told him that, because he was sending out his devotees, his disciples to collect money, and he had loans, for the, and that's like that he was managing, preaching, and eventually he constructed temples and everything. But then somebody asked him this question, but in fact, his own brother, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's brother, Lalita Prasad, so he was always against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he always criticized anything that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. And one of the things that he criticized also was that, this over-endeavoring of, constructing temples and all of that. Like, you see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not do really that. He just constructed a temple for the Yoga Peeth, the place of birth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, he was just preaching and writing books, and that should be our thing. We should not be over, Narambhan Arabhet Kvachit. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, Mathadi Vyaparan. So, why take such extraordinary efforts to do this? This is not our parampara. They were criticizing him. He was criticizing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was presented this criticism, he said, well, this Mathadi Vyaparan attempts to construct temples, this depends on the appetite of each individual, he said. He said, this is variable for each devotee. How much is too much is variable for each devotee. For example, there is the Ayurvedic injunction that one should not eat more than necessary. The injunction is not one should eat 2 kilos a day or 1 kilo a day food or half a kilo a day. It is not, it is variable. What is too much for each person is different. So that's why in Ayurveda, how is it judged? If you go to, if one goes and passes stool once a day, he is a yogi. Means one who is, who is yogi, who is nidrahara viharasya, what is that? Yuktahara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Let's go there. Yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So the yogi, the previous verse also, natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikantam anashnatah nachati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Atyahar means over accumulation of either food or even opulence, which is matadivyaparan also is kind of atyahara, or reading too much is also atyahara. Anything we intake, matadivyaparan may be prayasa, but reading too much also is atyahara. That is also, too much is not required. The thing that is required, and then repeatedly, what books we need to read. So again, this here, 616, there is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi if he eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. So a yogi is one who is controlled in his health habit. Not only health, this is one of the main thing is to become a devotee of Krishna, but in his regular habits, he should not eat too much. So how is it calculated? So if he passes stool once a day, he's yogi. If he passes 2 times stool a day, that is means he's a bhogi. He's enjoying his senses already, which is why he's eating too much than required, otherwise why he has to go to the bathroom. And then if he three or more times, that is rogi, he's diseased. So for a person like Bhima, what is a lot to us is nothing for him. So it depends, it's variable. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that this Mathadi Vyaparan, this over endeavoring, over means over. What is endeavor and what is under endeavoring? What is over endeavoring? It depends on each person. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I have the appetite, so let me do it. So that's his answer to that. So we should not go over our capacity, but also should we not push ourselves to increase our capacity? We should do more than what we are comfortably able to do, right? Prabhupada could have comfortably stayed in Vrindavan and preached to whoever. Yeah, if you ever get money, print books. I'll get some money and I'll print some books and I'll be satisfied. I'm following the order of my Guru Maharaj and I'm preaching to a few people and English speaking world. Maybe I'll go to some English speaking, maybe some Britishers or something. I'll preach. He could have done that, right? Not satisfied. He's not satisfied with that. So this atushtir arthopachayayar. Our artha, prema pumartho mahan is said, yes, love of Godhead is the ultimate artha. But as honestly, for the devotee, whether we get that prema or not, our artha, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha. Our artha, a disciple's only artha, is the order of the spiritual master. Atushtir arthopachayaya. We should never be satisfied. We should always try to improve ourselves. Not be frustrated, not be depressed. It may come sometimes, but one should control his mind by seeing the examples of the acharyas. This is why we have to know Vaishnava Charitra. We should know how great Acharya, how Prabhupada conducted himself when nothing was going in his direction. Yeah, when everything is going good and all the fame and everything, all the disciples and the expansion of the movement, all that is fine. But what was he when nothing was going in his direction? How did he conduct himself? That is even more important, because only if we pass through that stage and pass that exam can we actually handle success, when we can handle failure. So the reason we can't handle failure because we don't have patience. We want success without qualification. That is entitlement. We should not feel entitled to success. We should take all pains. Pandavas had their success only at 89 years old. Arjuna had his success. The whole life they were suffering. 89 years old Arjuna was, and that time he won the war. And then he had the whole world to rule. And yeah, of course, success doesn't mean some material throne. When he's king, that means he can now introduce Krishna consciousness everywhere. He can do his service uninterruptedly. So that success in our service may come after a lot of trials and tribulations. And even after that success, there will be more trials. That's why we read yesterday. Not yesterday, the previous session. What did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said? Oh, this year we had a lot of trouble. Not only did the fools attack us, but also the intelligent class of society attacked us, and they are against us. So this is very good. Hopefully, by next year, we will have faced 100 times more obstacles in propagating Harikatha, 100 times more strength to overcome such obstacles, and 10 million times more enthusiasm for service. That's the attitude. With that attitude, we can grow, and then we can actually exceed the expectations of the Guru, and that's how we should conduct ourselves. Mat karma krit, mat parama. And now let's go to the next part of that. We have Mad Bhakta. We should always engage in all the 9 processes of devotional service, and not only the 9 processes. It actually is very much related to Mat Karma Kran, because Mad Bhakta means Laukiki Vaidiki Chapi. Yeah, 16:241 purport. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Laukiki Vaidiki Vapi Yakriya Kriyate Mune Hari Sevanukulaiva Sakarya Bhakti Michhata. A devotee may act as an ordinary human being or as a strict follower of Vedic injunctions. In either case, everything he does is favorable for the advancement of devotional service because he is in Krishna consciousness. So, Vaidiki, for our in Bhakti, we have 9 ways, right? 9 ways: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, etc. So, that is Vaidiki. But Laukiki, in this material world, we may have some activity which is not exactly the mantras and the procedures and the rituals and the liturgy in the Vedas, but ordinary things. For example, if we have to do Jagannath Rath Yatra, we need to get some police permit. That is not mentioned in the Vedas. In Singapore, we have to get a police permit and we have to get some clearances from the government. But that's not mentioned in the Shastra. But that is something which practically has to be done in order for us to do the festival. Or even for the magazine, for example, we need to get a permit. So we have to apply for that. So government application processes are there. Stuff like that. Or we have to preach, so we have to buy tickets. So buying tickets is not mentioned in the Vedic literature. At different times, the methods will be different. So the Vaidiki, the principles should be executed according to the Laukiki situation. Laukiki means loka in this world, worldly situation at that time. So there will be always a mix of Vaidiki and Lokiki activities in a devotee's life. And Krishnartha Akila Cheshta. We have to do everything for Krishna. So Laukiki Vaidiki Vapi Yakriya Kriyate Mune. So a devotee, a real Muni, thoughtful devotee, he should do Laukiki and Vaidiki activities. Hari Seva Anukula Eva. Hari Seva Anukula Eva. Sakarya Bhakti Michhata. So that is called Bhakti. So we should engage in all kinds of acts. So when we say bhakti, not only the 9 things, but also in one of them is dāsa. Dāsa means to act as a servant, not only as a daruka who was, fanning the Lord, but also these kind of any activity for Krishna. Laukiki, Vaidiki, Vapi. Okay, that is Hari Bhakti. So going back again, Madbhakta Sangha Varjitaha. This is very important. And the interesting way how Prabhupada translated Sangha Varjita, freed from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation. But actually, what is Sangha Varjita? Keeping away from non-devotees. But why did he not mention it like that? Why did he say, oh, being freed from worldly association? Why did he not say freed from worldly association? Because it is not the person we are associating with. It is the modes we are associating with. Karanam gunasangosya sadasadyoni janmasu. And when we associate with a person, we are associating with the mode that the person is influenced by. If we are taking his association, if we are giving our association to him, preaching to him, that's different. We are giving him satsanga. But if I'm taking his association, if I'm not preaching, the moment I stop preaching, if I even just listen to what he says, even if I don't do what he says, suppose he's a meat eater and he says, please come and eat, let's eat together. If I say, no, I don't want to eat, I can't eat, I have to eat because I may give some other excuse, no, I'm fasting or I'm doing this. I can say that. I'm trying to avoid it and I'm having my own prasadam. Or I may, if I'm not so advanced in my understanding, I may actually eat with him. He eating meat, I'm eating prasadam across the table. And I think it is okay because I'm eating prasadam only. No, it is not okay. Because him eating meat and you sitting with him is like you're half endorsing what he's doing. You should not. So the next best thing, the better thing is to not eat with him and eat somewhere else by your own. But better than that still is to actually tell him, better is to give an excuse and stay away and eat. The better than that is to tell him that actually I eat this because my religious obligation is that I should eat only Krishna Prasadam, because I should then explain. Scientifically, I should explain. Because whatever we eat that is not offered, we should change. We should actually explain to him that eating what he's eating is not good. He should eat only Krishna Prasadam. We should preach. So unless we do that, we are half endorsing or quarter endorsing or 10% endorsing by not telling him what is right. Now, even after we tell, we may think, no use, Prabhu, I am preaching to him. Even if I preach to him, he won't listen. Doesn't matter if he listens or not. Your job is to preach. If he doesn't listen, never mind. Then that is his problem. But if I did not speak, that is my problem. That is my problem. What is this? Tarasitara. What if your mother eats meat and is sick? So you buy meat for her, but you are pure vegetarian. Not good. Because those who buy, those who sell, those who cook, those who eat, everybody gets implicated. 8 kinds of people get implicated in the killing of an animal. So they're all accomplices in the murder. One who assists the murderer, he will also get charged. So I cannot buy. I should not buy. So in that way, I will be implicated. So I should do what the right thing is, and I should preach. Otherwise, I am having sangha. I am very subtly, although I am not eating meat, I am not, okay, let's to answer that question about the mother. If you really love your mother, then you should not let her go to hell. You are already sick because of some karma, past karma. Again, you want to go to hell after this by eating meat? No, no, no. You are going to eat Krishna Prasadam. You have to eat. Pure vegetarian, by the way, is not pure. Because who gave you the right to kill vegetables and eat? You cannot. You have to pay for those lives also. Anybody who eats anything other than Krishna Prasadam is eating sin. Whether it's vegetarian, non-vegetarian, everybody is eating sin. All are sinful. So we have to eat Krishna Prasadam. Yeah. So we have to explain this to people. People may hear or not hear, that doesn't matter. Babu, no use preaching. No, there is use of preaching for you. Otherwise, I'm kind of okay with him eating meat. How can I be okay? That means there is a sense of envy to Krishna. That I'm not preaching and I'm kind of okay with what Krishna is not okay with. How can that be? So, in order to save myself, I have to preach. In order to save him, I have to preach. Otherwise, I am not doing Sanghavarjita. We cannot sit in the mountains for Sanghavarjita. Because our Sangha is not by people. Our Sangha is to with the modes of material nature. Whether it be goodness, passion, and ignorance, Traigunya. Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna, that is Sanghavarjita. Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. And for us to always keep ourselves in Nistraigunya platform, we have to preach. Because we cannot go to the mountains. And what are we going to do? There's no service there. We have to be in the busiest part of the world and be Nistraigunya, Sanghavarjita, in the midst of the most populous cities of the world. That means we have to give our association, we should not take the association. And when we take the association of the gunas, it is within this fruitive activities and mental speculation. Everything falls into these two things. Whether the fruitive activities be me going to hell is a fruit of my actions, my sinful actions, or going to heaven is a fruit of my pious actions, or a good birth in this world, all are fruits of my action in this world. Whether it be a positive work, negative work, whatever, everything is a fruit of action. So, fruitive activities. Or mental speculation, which is also not spiritual yet. That is still Sangha. It's not Sangha Varjita yet. Because although I try to become mental speculator and try to go above the modes, patanti adhaha, anadrita yushmadangraya. If I don't have regard for Lord's lotus feet, when there are feet, there is a form. So unless I engage in the devotional service to the form, personal God, Krishna, if I'm impersonal, there is mental, which is the result of mental speculation. Ultimately, we end up in a conclusion of a void or an impersonal entity. So that is still Traigunya. It is still Traigunya. In fact, it is the biggest illusion. So only devotional service is Sanghavarjitaha. Only devotional service is Nistraigunya. So that is the understanding here, Sanghavarjitaha. So freed from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation means only devotional service. Karanam guna sangosya. So if we sangha with devotees, satsanga, satsanga chhadi koinu asate vilas, te karane lagile je karmabandha fas. Satsanga chhadi. If I give up satsanga, asate vilas, I will be admitted into this kingdom of asat. Te karane lagilo je karmabandha fas. And I'll be bound by this network of fruitive activities. So I should always remain satsanga. Satsangat mukta duh sango. What is that? Hatum notsahate buddha. Kriyamanam yasho yasa sakrad akarnya rochanam. Satsangan mukta duh sango. By the association of pure devotees, we have to get freed from bad materialistic association. Satsangat. By the power of satsanga, we have to get mukta duh sanga. So that is Sangha Varjita. That means, in other words, we should associate with devotees. And associate with devotees means what? Just like, because many devotees don't, neophytes, they don't understand what is actually devotee association. What do we associate with devotees for? Oh, I'm near devotees. I'm in the proximity of devotees. Is that association of devotees? It is not. See, when we associate with materialists, we are associating with their consciousness, with the modes that is influencing the consciousness, and that influences our thinking. So, you see, this Veda base 2025 is a bit. Okay, I need to open the Vani base. Now they have two different things: Veda base and Vani base. Let's see if I can find it here. Vani what? You see, now it is here. It is separated into two because of, I think, some copyright issues or whatever. हरिभक्ति सुधोदय यस्य यत् संगतिः पुंसो मणिवत् स्यात् स तद्गुणः स्वकुलर्ध्यै ततो धीमान् स्वयूथान्येव संश्रयेत्. As the qualities of a nearby object are reflected in a crystal, one similarly takes on the qualities of a person with whom he associates. So when we associate with devotees, we need to be taking on the qualities of such devotees. When we read about devotees, when we are, I feel so validated when I read Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's words. Of course, Prabhupada's words as well, of course. When sometimes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains in ways which intuitively feels right in the head, but we never had the vocabulary to articulate it in a way he did it. And when he does it, yes, this is exactly what I was thinking, but I could not point my finger at it. That kind of a thing. So he said, one of the things that he said was, when he reads books, he never feels that he's accumulating information. He's actually sitting with the Acharya. He feels the association of the Acharya. The book is the Acharya. It is actually true. We are not here reading about the thoughts of a person who has long gone away and, no. We're actually associating with the Acharya. And when we understand that, it may sound, yeah, we know this, of course, maybe, but, there's a realization that there's a deep realization, which is sometimes we find this distance, a comfort, a materialistic comfort, which is when we read, say, Prabhupada saying something strictly, or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur stating something very strictly. We appreciate it, we adore it, we worship it, we are in awe of it, we venerate it. But would I want to be there in his presence when he said that? Would I want to do such a thing now in my life? If he was here, if he's saying that, would I be comfortable hearing that? Would I do what he asked me to do in that situation? It's not easy. But that's what we should, when we're reading, we should not take these as suggestions. We should not take these as, yeah, that is actually a nice idea. No. Presence, their presence means, actually, if Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, if Prabhupada is here with me, will he like me doing this? Will he approve of me doing this? Or will he disapprove of me doing that? So we should always judge. We are actually with the Acharya there. And if we take it seriously like that, we will get all the benefit. So when we are reading about Prahlad Maharaj's life, when we're reading about Dhruva Maharaj's life, when we're reading about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, we're actually associating with that person there. We're actually associating with Krishnadas Kaviraj, Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the personalities mentioned there. We're associating with them. Now, we're not associating with some books only. We're associating with the personalities therein. So similarly, so what does that mean when you're associating with a personality? What does that mean? Because many times, devotee, I have heard this argument many times. They get it wrong. When we say that, when there is a difficult situation in one's life and we point some um, scriptural reference, okay, read this, you will feel better. Or we may cite things like, okay, Prabhupada did this, so, and then, or Narad Muni did this, or Brahma did this, or stuff like that. Then the immediate retort would be, yeah, I mean, they are pure devotees, no, they can do all that. I'm not there yet. So I can't do like they did. So the point is, what are we studying these scriptures for? Is it to appreciate, oh, Prahlad Maharaj, great devotee. Okay. That is Prahlad Maharaj. I will be what I am. I will never change. So I cannot do like what he did. Yeah, we of course can't be thrown from a cliff and stay alive and all of that. But is that not what we should aim for? Is that not? Actually, there's a beautiful passage I read in Nectar of Devotion 2 days ago. Let me see. I think it's in. I'll take it out here as well. Let me see where it is from. I think it's the 12. I think. Just give me 1 minute here. Beautiful thing. Is it the same? Okay, let's go back. So this example, Manivat, Syatsa Tadguna. Oh, 10:15. I lost track of time totally. What? Okay, I need to close this. So Manivat, when a crystal ball is in association with some color, if there is a blue color something here, and the crystal ball also appears blue, so we take on the quality. So that's what association means. And regarding that, I'll just let me see. We'll close this class soon. I've lost track of time totally. NOD 14, if I'm not wrong. Is that? How do I feel? Why is it like that? Right. Anyway, I think I'll just repeat what I read. I mean, what I understood. It is said there that one should not think that all the descriptions of the shastras are exaggerations. Like for example, when Rupa Goswami says, I want millions of mouths and millions of ears so that I can chant and hear Krishna's name, and so beautiful, so nice. So, and Prahlad Maharaj's extraordinary devotion and how he was saved by the Lord, and to us it may sound like very out of this world. And in that paragraph, it is said that it may sometimes um, sound like exaggerations. Let me see if I have exaggeration. I don't know. No. Anyway, um, you may feel like that it's exaggeration, but it is not exaggeration. And Prabhupada even mentions this point that even if one thinks it is exaggeration, it is essential to accept them as they are, to turn the mind away from materialistic, turn the mind from having faith in materialistic um, um, things and turn our faith to Krishna, on Krishna. So that is what we are, that is the Sangha, that is the meaning of Satsanga. That we have to get faith in that process. That if Prahlad Maharaj did that, yeah, I should be guided by that. Yeah, I'm not Prahlad Maharaj, I cannot do it to the extent, but I definitely can imbibe what the example is, and then I can mold my life centered on Krishna. Not that, oh, Prabhupada did that, they are all great acharya, I'm not pure devotee, I'm not there yet, so I'll behave like a rascal that I am. No, that is not proper behavior. We should mold our behavior. We should acquire those qualities. That is association. We should acquire the qualities of the devotee. So whether I'm associating rightly or not will be tested by my qualities, what the qualities I have. So by my quality, I can be judged whether I'm actually associating nicely or not. Not that whether I'm in association with devotees or whether I'm in proximity of devotees or not, but what is my attitude? What is my quality? Am I developing the qualities? So that is Sanghavarjitaha. Staying away from materialistic association, but staying in devotee association. And devotee association means we should get rid of fruitive activities and mental speculation. That means after staying in with devotees, I cannot still have fruitive mentality, I cannot still have speculative mentality. If I have that, then I'm not associating with devotees. Right? I should always be guided by Shastra, I should not speculate, I should not have fruitive results, I should always work for Krishna. So those are the qualities that will develop in a devotee. So am I developing those qualities is what matters. Okay, so anything else in this chapter? In this verse, sorry. Yahasam mameti Pandava. Krishna says, such a devotee will come back to me. So whether Krishna wants to take us back or not, of course he promises here, but we should not focus on the goal that I want to go back to Krishna. That is not within our control. We should worry about what is within our control. I can act. I can fulfill the order of my spiritual master. I can do. So what is within my control, if I do it, the result, that is up to Krishna. Don't worry about it. We should be concerned with our input, not worry about the output and not do anything about the input. What is that? That is useless worry. In fact, there is a state of entitlement which Krishna thoroughly discourages. We cannot be entitled to the spiritual world without doing any service first. So we have to associate with, what is that? Chhariya Vaishnava Seva Nistar Paichakeba. How can we go to the spiritual world if we give up the give up the service of pure devotees? We have to serve first. So Vaishnava Seva must be there. Chhariya Vaishnava Seva Nistar Paichakeba. Who has gone to the spiritual world without serving a pure devotee? No one. So we have to serve the pure devotee. That is within our control. We should serve, therefore. That should be our Vyavasayatmaka Buddhi Ekeha Gurunandana. Then our life will be successful. It's all right. I'll stop it here. Any questions or comments? Is Krishna and Bhagavad-gītā mentioned in the Vedas, or is it entirely based on Puranas, Adhan, Smriti texts only? Krishna is mentioned in Gopal Tapani Upanishad and Rigveda, Vishnu. See, don't discriminate between Shruti and Smriti literature. This is a wrong philosophy that Hindus were taught by some of the acharyas, especially Shankaracharya's followers. As if Shruti is more important, Smriti is not important. In fact, it is said that Smritis are even more important than Shruti. But even Shruti and Smriti, both Krishna is there. But don't try to separate the two as if one is more important than the no. Smritis are even more important because what Shrutis do not say explicitly, Smritis will say unabashedly. And that is explained in the Tattva Sandarbha very nicely by Jiva Goswami. How the Smritis are even more important than Shruti. Yeah. Even our video against Zakir Naik by Nimanita Prabhu, he mentioned that quotation as well. That's the Puranas are even more important than the Shruti because in Shruti there is indirect indication towards the absolute truth and allowing us to kind of refine our reflections. But Smriti directly gives you that absolute truth. It reveals without waiting for you to rise to that platform. It will give, and that's what the devotee does as well. Krishna said, "Don't agitate the people in general," but the devotees actually agitate the people by giving them Krishna consciousness even when they're not ready. We have read that in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life, and that's what Prabhupada also said, that we should inject Krishna consciousness in this society. Even though people may not want it, we should try to do it. That's our thankless task. Nobody will thank us for it. We should still do it. So it is more merciful. Like Bhagavatam, it is more merciful than the Vedas because it gives us the truth directly without waiting for us to climb up a ladder of philosophical speculation, philosophical inquiry. Whereas Vedas will take us patiently from where we are and then slowly take us to where we need to be. But Smritis will give us the topmost thing, whether you're ready or not. The deluge comes, and we mistake that for people in this world, those who are misled, they mistake it for Smritis are just all these direct mentions are in the Smritis only, therefore the Shrutis are more, they are more philosophical. No, both are serving the same goal, but Smritis are more direct. Whether I am philosophically equipped to speculate or not, I am given the direct answer, both for the intelligent and for the foolish. The answer is given. You just have to accept the revealed thing, whether you're ready or not, and you will be successful. Don't discount either. And Bhagavad Gita is called Gita Upanishad. It is, if an author writes a book and if the author gives a speech about the book, summarizing the book, how is it different? So Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. Vedanta Krit. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I wrote the Vedas. Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. He came as Vyasadeva and wrote the Vedas. And it's not just 5,000 years ago, it's millions. It's before even creation. So the author of the Vedas is now speaking, summarizing the entire knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. How is that different from Vedas? Why should we discriminate that? So that conceptions have to go, that there's something different and something like that. Padyavali 126, what is that? Let's see. Oh, Padyavali is in the other one. Oh, Vichayani. Oh, no, that's different. So Chanakyaniti, that verse is very good. 7:4. There was a great period of many years from the time Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave the order and Prabhupada could only fulfill it in old age. Well, when the time was right, it happened. But yes, you see how much he went through before the manifest success was seen, the visible success was seen. He went through all that rigor, and that, it shows the determination, the patience, and the enthusiasm of Prabhupada. That's the disciple. That's a disciple. So we should always be dreaming big and working for working our best. Every day should be our best. We should give our best efforts to serve Krishna. Then only we can sleep peacefully at night. Otherwise, how to sleep peacefully at night if we have not done enough? And time is wasted and everything. Avyartha kalatvam. Time should not be wasted. That should always be the principle. All right. Looks like I should not have installed I should not have uninstalled 2019 version, trying to install 2025 now. It's okay. It's okay. It's just different now. 2025 Veda base and 2025 Vani base. Like some books are here, some books are there now. So stuff like that. A little bit inconvenient, but yeah. Yeah, 3:14:46. So this is Kashyapa Muni's prediction, what Prahlad Maharaj would be. And this is what association of devotees means. Yogair hemeva durvarnam. Wow. Yogair hemeva durvarnam bhavayishyanti sadhavah nirvairadhibhir atmanam yat chilam anuvartitum. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly persons will try to emulate his character. So that's what devotee association means. We have to try to emulate. We should not imitate, we should emulate. In the sense, we should take on some of that things which we can. In our capacity, what we can, we should hold on to that and grab. And always, even if I can't, I should remember, yes, I should be guided by that example. We'll try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as a purifying processes rectify gold from inferior quality. Very good. At what stage in one's life one comes to realize fully in life that one is simply trying to lord over material nature? When that disgusted mood comes? Well, the sooner it comes, the better. And the way it should come is, you know how it will come? When we pay attention to the philosophy of the books and we learn the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas and this teach us how to think. So therefore, we should read the books and contemplate on the subject mentioned. Because if we don't contemplate, that's when no change happens in us, even though we read books. We're reading books sentence to sentence to sentence to sentence without knowing actually what is the original intent of the author here. Am I understanding the intent of the author? In our case, Prabhupada and Krishna, of course, and all the acharyas. What is the intent here? What am I being taught here? Because sometimes I can just, I have seen, we just read, for example, let's see, Nectar of Devotion. I can read without any processing going on here, I can just, there are certain prescribed methods for employing our senses and mind in such a way that our dormant consciousness for loving Krishna will be invoked. As much as a child with a little practice can begin to walk, one who has no basic walking capacity cannot walk by practice. Similarly, Krishna consciousness cannot be aroused simply by practice. Actually, there is no such practice. When we wish to develop our innate capacity for devotional service, there are certain processes which, by our accepting and executing them, will cause the dormant capacity to be invoked. Such practice is called sadhana bhakti. I read that just now. with hardly any processing done here. I can read. So that's not reading. I am not actually thinking what is being said and what is the implications. So the more we read, the more we will become contemplative and more we will realize things. But at least we should understand at our capacity, whatever we can understand when we read, we should understand what he's saying. And then we will automatically start to become disgusted. Krishna, Hare Krishna chanting means to be disgusted with material life. Because Hare is Radharani, Krishna is Krishna, Rama is also Krishna. So, Balaram, so we are actually praying to Radha Krishna, please engage me in your service. I'm done with this material life. I have so far engaged in materialistic service. Now I want to engage in your service, Radha Krishna. Please engage me in your service. I'm done with the material life. So that's actually disgust to material life. So all of Vaishnava's Acharya's songs and all the scriptures like Bhagavad-gītā, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these are teaching us how to actually chant the holy name, how to feel disgusted about material life, all that. So the sooner it's not when it will happen, it's how much I have taken seriously to the process, that much it will happen. Bhakti pareshanu bhavo virakti annatra chaisha trika eka kalaha. प्रपद्यमानस्य यथास्नतः स्युस्तुष्टिः पुष्टिः क्षुदपायोनुघासम्. Devotion and direct experience of the Supreme and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, detachment, the virakti means not just detachment, disgust. So, that will happen when we are attached to Krishna. And in comparison, this material world will become pale and tasteless in comparison. So, that's the thing. Reading books like repentance should be followed by sincere efforts to rectify it. So I've done association. Does association of similar devotees who have such qualities could it help in one's advancement? Repentance should be followed by sincere efforts to rectify it. Yeah, I mean, you see, there's verse 23, 29, for example. You see this verse. न प्रेमाश्रवणादि भक्तिरपि वा योगोऽथवा वैष्णवो ज्ञानं वा शुभकर्म वा कियदहो सज्जातिरप्यस्ति वा हीनार्थाधिकसाधके त्वयि तथाप्यच्छेद्यमूला सती हे गोपीजनवल्लभ व्यथयते हा हा मदाशैव माम्. O my Lord, I do not have any love for you, nor am I qualified for discharging devotional service by chanting and hearing, nor do I possess the mystic power of a Vaishnava, knowledge, or pious activities, nor do I belong to a very high caste family. On the whole, I do not possess anything. Still, O beloved of the gopis, because you bestow your mercy on the most fallen, I have an unbreakable hope that is constantly in my heart, and that hope is giving me pain. So, that's how we should feel. What is the value of association with similar devotees? We have to associate with those who are more advanced, and especially with Prabhupada. Yeah, but what is the value of association with similar devotees? No, but we see advanced, yes, but we should also have associating with similar devotees of the same kind. Not that we fight with the devotees of the same status or below status. Only associate with advanced. That's not how it works, right? So it works always, all directions. We should associate with advanced devotees. We should associate with junior devotees. We should associate with equal devotees in different ways. Cultivate friendship with them. There is value to it. Still, there is camaraderie. There is encouragement. There is so much that can happen, even similar devotees. But also advanced devotees, not without advanced devotee association. All right, so I'll stop it here. It's very late already. Thank you very much for your time and patience. Jai Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Ananda Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.